Hello, YouTube. How are we doing? It's me, Miss J. Look at these lips. These lips are a problem. Hello, hello. Welcome. I just had a show over in East Grand Forks. And I thought I would come on and just take my makeup off and hang out a little bit and just kind of chat. I don't know if anybody will show up. I know Dion is nocturnal, and so I didn't text her to let her know I was going live, but she might pop in. Other people might pop in. You never know who's around. So I just thought I would come on and yeah, just kind of hang out and tell you a little bit. Now I did film this look. So this look is coming apart, obviously. Knocking things over. And now I'm on a different page. So am I still live? Okay. Hello, Dawn. You didn't miss this one. Yay. Hello. I just got done with a show. And so I did film this look. This is going to be a Get Ratchet with me on my channel. Hopefully sometime this month. I decided to, I wanted to test out the new camera. I haven't done like a filmed video with the new camera and the new light. So I was like, let's check it out. And so I filmed this. This is with Danessa Myrix or Myrix. This is a couple of the Lightworks palettes worked together. Yes, I'm at home for once. I just got back from a show. And this is, if you saw my unboxing of the Unicorn Snot, this is the Unicorn Snot lip. Now I have had a couple of slices of pizza because they give us pizza at the end of the show. They know the way to my heart. And so it has gotten a little, I talk a little bit in the video about how I felt about this, and I have some feelings now that I have worn it, and it obviously has started to come off a little bit. Now, the first application was fantastic. Like it painted on, it was beautiful. And then I let it dry and the glitter painted right over it and didn't reactivate the formula. So that's the key, because then when I touched up later, that's where there was a problem. And this lip was drawn terribly. I was rushing, I was in a hurry. And so, so this lip line is crazy. And then it bled a little bit, and then we've been eating. And so it's all that kind of stuff. But so the first application was really, really good. And if you let it dry, the glitter didn't reactivate the formula for me. So I was pretty impressed by that. I'm going to play with them more, but just be careful that if you don't, it's going to be oopy goopy, and it got oopy goopy on me. And yeah, so I've already taken the lashes off, and I thought we could take off makeup while we hang out here. And so, yeah, Dawn, I'm glad you're here. If anybody else pops in, I would love it. Or else, Dawn, you and I will just hang out for tonight for a little while. I'm just pulling out some makeup wipes because this is where it gets messy. I'm excited. I don't have a ton of room on my desk, but so let me just set those to the side. Yes, it gets very messy because we have the Blend Bunny Unveil. I love this. This is one of my favorite oil cleansers. I buy the Zero a lot just because it's easy to get. And so if I don't want to place an order from Blend Bunny, it's supposed to have like a grapefruit scent. I don't get grapefruit at all. It reminds me of hemp. If you remember, Dawn, or anybody else on the replay crew who rocks, the teaser for the new collection, I have seen a little bit of it, and I saw the other pieces. I saw there's a bunch of lip products, and I didn't see what the other things were, but it looked like they were maybe liners or something. I'm so excited, and she said she's going to reveal the palette tomorrow. I saw the cover art. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I love this. But it smells like hemp. It reminds me of those OCC lip tars that had hemp oil in them and they had a certain smell. And it reminds me of that. I don't get grapefruit at all, but I love this. And it's so good. And I always put too much on and I get oopy goopy, but I don't care because I love this stuff. Maybe when I order that Haunted collection, and it gets very Smurfy because I've had some blue. Yeah, so when I order that Haunted collection, maybe I'll put in one or two more of these, because I think I have two of them right now, and both of them are open, so neither of them is like a backup. Yeah. Oh. I had that blue inner corner, and anytime I use any blue or like any green, it gets very Smurfy like this. Okay, and then I have to that's why I have to remember, sometimes I forget, but I have to remember to pull the makeup wipes out first, because I need at least one sometimes more than one, just to get the like oopy goopy makeup off of my hands so that I don't get it everywhere. All right. Yeah, this could be fun. Maybe I'll take a picture of this and this can be on the thumbnail. I think I have to stop into the office for a little bit tomorrow, just for my stuff, not for like work stuff. Oh, pretty girl. But I've got some stuff that I'm working on that I... Pretty girl, what's going on? Oh, did I miss a whole area under my chin? What's going on? Oh, you had Huda Pretty Grunge for 4 days. Oh, it's, yeah. Pretty Grunge is one that I was really tempted by and didn't buy. And I just now, I don't think about it. Like that's one that I don't know, Huda, I go back and forth with her. Like I have a hard time decluttering it, but when I have it, I'm just like kind of bored. And so, yeah. Yeah, I'm ready for lots of color. Although I have to say that I was thinking about doing like a black and white, and I'm sure I've got something, but I was trying to think of like new palettes because I wanted to feature something fairly new for the channel. And I was like, I can't think of anything that I have that's like black and gray and those kinds of colors. Because I thought, well, maybe I'll do that and then like a pop of green or a pop of blue. Because my outfits were weird colors tonight. It was like a pinky, well, like a blue lavender cornflower kind of thing, because it was basically the fairy godmother from Cinderella. So a big pink bow and like this kind of cornflower blue kind of coat, and then like a lavender light blue dress. I don't have Natasha Denona Xenon. I don't, for some reason, I never picked that one up. And tonight is the night where I was like, I wish I had Natasha Denona's Xenon, because that would have been perfect. It looks like somebody else has joined us. If you can say hello, say hello. It does say 2 people are watching. So if you can, say hello. But let me take a couple of pictures, because I think this would be fun on the thumbnail. I think that would be good. So let me figure out the best way to... I suppose I don't have to do the full photo shoot like I normally do since I'm covered in makeup. All right, so here's, and let me just get into this, because look at how it just comes off. Like, I just love this, because there's something about this that is so, and I'm like spitting, but it just comes off. Look at that black lipstick, like black lipstick, a paint on, dry down, and it just comes off. I just love it. So it looks weird and smurfy and crazy. And now I'm Batman. But and I'm trying to do it looking in, and I'm always confused by which side is which. So clearly that's not going to help me tonight. But, and so, yeah, it does take a few makeup wipes, because it just, it comes off, but it's like oopy goopy, and I love it. And it's just fun to do, right? Like, it's just fun to put this like balm on and just have everything melt into a big puddle. I love it. I think it's fun. Now, one thing that happens sometimes, this time I had like, I used black and teal. I mixed together black and teal for my eyebrow base. And then I did like green gold shades on it. And sometimes if I use a color that stains, then I'll have like stained on eyebrows up here. And that's always fun. I do have the ghost face. I actually, so this is what a clown I am. I actually have the, I have both of the palettes, and then I have both of the lip kits where they added like one of the things to the lip kit. And I bought another one because I didn't have the liner or whatever they added. I can't remember. I think it was a black liner and a nude lipstick the first time. And I think they added a gloss. But yeah, I have almost all of the horror stuff. Usually with the horror, I just order the whole collection, depending on what the PR box looks like. Sometimes I do the PR box, sometimes I don't. But I usually do the full collection when they come out, just because I love the horror stuff. And so I need to use those more. I mean, that's the story of my life. When you own as much makeup as I do, I have to use all of it more, but I do really enjoy that. Oh, yeah, I like okay, can we talk? I think I've talked about this in a video before, but can we just talk That Chucky palette. That Chucky palette, the Chucky one. Are you talking about the Wanna Play or the first one, the Valentine's one? Because that Chucky Wanna Play, because the first one that came out when they did the Chucky Crazy in Love or whatever, that was the first of the horror palettes to come out. And I was like, I thought that was actually really, really clever to make it Crazy in Love, where it's Chucky and Tiffany, and then it's like the perfect smoky eye. So it's all gray, black, with a little bit of like cranberry red kind of tones. I thought that's really interesting, and it goes against type, because I would have thought it would have been like a rainbow palette almost. It would have been all the bright colors. And it wasn't. So because it was the first, I thought it was really, really cool. Well, then, of course, we got those like 3 collections, bam, 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 right after that, that were all very dark, didn't have a ton of color. And so then I was like, oh, well, this would have been better if it had been that one. And so then the new Chucky palette, the Wanna Play palette, came out, and that one was so close to hitting the mark, but it was just too, like, it got a little too jewel toned. And then instead of having that beautiful yellow, like a matte yellow, they went with that like brassy gold. And I was like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck is happening? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I don't understand. It's so weird. And so I love Glamlight's quality, but I always have a lot of thoughts about their collections. The lip liner with that collection is my absolute favorite. Mine is getting down to a stub. Yeah, I have decided, and as I'm like reorganizing, I'm trying to figure out how to make this work, but I took the dessert kits out of their boxes, and I took the coffee ones because they're in coffee cups. That's a pain in the ass. But all the ones that are in little boxes, so like the Scooby-Doo, all of the horror ones, the Bratz ones, I'm keeping them in the box because single individual lip products, for me, they're so hard to store because they just end up in a drawer or in a bin, and then they're all together and I have to like dig. And so I end up just using what's in front of me. And so I was like, but if I remember kind of like what roughly the color story is, I thought if I keep them in the boxes, then I can be like, oh, the Bratz Chloe is the one that's like a light pink kind of thing. So then I can pull that. So I'm going to try that and see how that works to see if I get more use, because I love those Glamlight lip kits. Glamlight has done a lot with their lip products. Sometimes they're still a little like meh, and I wish they had more sense to them. But they're definitely better. I mean, the Glamlights, when they were doing food palettes, if you remember, did you have any of the glosses from then? Because they were like Vaseline. They were kind of gross. They were not great. And they just had like a chemically smell. And now at least, even if they don't have a fragrance, they don't have too much. The Jason palette is really good. That is probably the best one of that first set of horror palettes. And if I think of later ones, Saw is pretty good. I want to play with Saw because that's such an interesting, rusty, peachy red kind of color story. But I still think that Jason might be my favorite. And do they have it on the website? I can't remember if it's still there. So I am also going to do a face mask while we're hanging out. Yeah, the Saw one is really pretty. I need to do a look with it so I can get a sense. I got some pizza. It's starting to like get a little dry, but we'll survive. That's what I love about this show that I do, is that at the end of the night, they just hand me a box of pizza. And this pizza has gotten better because this is one of the pizzas that's not my favorite. So we have a bunch of little local ones. For anybody from Grand Forks that watches this, I'm a Papolino's girl till the end of time. I love Papolino's. That's my favorite. So yummy. But we get Deeks. Yeah, and it's free pizza. The best pizza in the world is free pizza. So, but we get a box of Deeks, and Deeks has come along. It's a little bit thin, and so sometimes it gets a little dry. But when I was in college, pretty girl, sorry about that. I ordered from Deeks one time, and back when I was in college, Deeks has been around for a long time. It was cardboard with ketchup on it. I mean, it was terrible. It's gotten a lot better, and so I'm very excited to have free pizza. because I am hungry. Yum, yum, yum. Hello, CJ. Did I ever eat at Pagliacci Pizza in Seattle? I didn't. No, I would always go to, what was the one? It was on Capitol Hill. Hot Mama's Pizza. That's where I would go. Hello, Janet. Hello. So we've got CJ and Janet have joined us. Don and I were just having a hangout party. We're up to 7, it says. Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys can join me. I got done with the show and I just took off my makeup. And I just am learning in real time that eating pizza is probably not best for a live stream when I'm trying to talk. But yeah, so we'll finish that pizza later because right now I'm going to do a face mask. These Amora face masks, there's this one, which is tea tree, skin clarifying, tea tree oil, skin soothing. And then they also have a yellowy orange one that is vitamin C. I get these at Forever 21, not Forever 20. God. What is it called? Five Below. Five Below is my new favorite place to buy random plastic crap. I love it. And somehow my brain went to Forever 21. I miss Forever 21. I used to get fun, cheap jewelry there. But I get these at Five Below, and I love them. They are so good. And I think these are $5 for a set of 5 or 4. 5 sheets. Yep. So there are 5. This is the last one out of this pack. And I have a couple extra packs in the bathroom, but they are so good. If you love to do like a sheet mask, I don't know if Dion is going to jump on with us. Dion is not a fan of the slimy masks. So I apologize in advance. I'm about to jump scare you, Dion, on the replay crew. Or if you join us, I'm going to be wearing one of these masks. I just love them. I think they're so good. And they unfold so easily. I don't know what it is about these little sheet masks that, like, most of the time when I get them, they do not unfold worth a damn. And these are pretty good. These will usually open up. Sometimes there's like a little curl around the edge. But like the nose usually isn't super effed up. That's something I've noticed where sometimes like the nose pieces. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a very jump scare, but I just love these. They're so nice. And I just leave them. Oh. Hello, Rose. We're excited to have you for the replay or if you come join us. And then I like to, there's always extra oopy goopy stuff in here. And so it's hard to do because I'm not very coordinated, but I love to like squeeze all the extra liquid out into my hand because there's a lot of extra. No, you can't see that. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no spatial skills. Which, let me tell you about the ASVAB in a second. Let me get this like onto the mask. And then, so this just gave me a flashback when I said I have no spatial skills. I don't know if anybody else had to do this. I don't know if they still do this, but I'm from a generation where we had to take the ASVAB when we were, I think, seniors, because it was like, it's like Air Force or Army or something. And I was a little bit sassy because I took it and I did really well on standardized tests. They didn't stress me out. I didn't mind them at all. And so I did well, except they had one that was like a mechanical section. And if anybody else has taken that, it was so bizarre because it was things like where they would show you this thing that had like 15 gears, and one of the gears would have an arrow showing you which way that it was going. And so this would be like gear A, and it would say it was going this way. And then all the way down at the bottom, it would be like gear P. And then it would be like, what direction is that going? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so you'd have to try to figure out, okay, if this gear is going this way, it turns this one the other way, and then it turns this one. And so you had to like work your way down. Can I tell you, like, I'm going to say this as somebody who, like, I said, I didn't mind standardized tests. I did very well on them for the most part. I was usually like doing pretty well. I got a 17 percentile on that section on the mechanics because it was all spatial skills and these mechanics things. And 17 percentile. I, oh my God, when I saw that, I laughed so hard because that I was just like, I'm surprised I got 17%. I'm surprised I got even that high. It was so bad. I didn't understand any of it. And but I did well on the other parts. And so then afterwards, I was kind of a mouthy kid. I was a little bit sassy, even then, hard to believe. But these like military recruiters started calling, and I was like, I wasn't even out then, but I was already like on the way where it was like, girl, you are barking up the wrong tree. And so like this one guy called, and I forget which branch of the military he was in, but he was really aggressive. Like he was super aggressive and was like, we can offer you the best thing. Like this is going to be the best thing for your future. You should think about this, blah, 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 blah. And finally, I just said, is there a version of this where I don't have to go to boot camp and I can just like have an office and do my work and nobody is going to like be in my face and all this kind of stuff? And he was like, no, that this is the military. That's not really what we do. And I was like, then we're wasting each other's time. I have no interest in any of that. And he finally had to give up and was like, oh, okay. Waiting for Rose to say I want to be a nut. I love it. Yeah, it was so weird. Oh, I never got any free socks. I just got annoying phone calls. That was the worst part. So yeah, they just called and called and called, and I finally got a little bit snippy with that one guy, and then they stopped calling. So I got put on a list after that. So, oh, I'm starting to break through. I don't know what happened. I rubbed it too hard or something. But yeah, that was wild. That was a wild time. There was also this is a dumb story, but basically I just think about how my life would have turned out so much different. But there's this little town. So Jamestown is where our state psychiatric hospital is. And then they also have a little private college. And when I was applying around, I knew I wanted to go to UND. That's in Grand Forks. That's how I ended up in Grand Forks. I'm from a little town north of Minot, North Dakota, Bowbells. And but I knew I wanted to come to Grand Forks. And I wanted to do their integrated studies program, which is it's kind of like you take a certain number of classes and they're all together and you're with the same group of people. It's like a cohort, and it's like an alternative way of studying. It's very interesting. It's not around anymore, unfortunately. But I really wanted to do that. But I was like, I should send out some other applications just in case you don't know. And so I applied to Jamestown, and I actually got onto the list of finalists for the Wilson Scholarship. So the Wilson Scholarship was like a full ride, tuition, books, lodging, room and board, the whole thing. So of course I had to go to this interview because I was like, I don't even think I want to go to Jamestown. And again, this was before I was out. I was still in high school and I didn't really know. And I was like, I I guess I have to do it, right? Like I have to do it. And so I went, and earlier in the year, so in my senior year, the recruiter from Jamestown used to teach at our school. So he came to a career fair at our school, like a college fair at our school. And he was there, and I'm like 6'2", and I'm built. I was a lot skinnier then, but I was still like big and, whatever, big and imposing. And he saw me and he didn't really recognize me, but he was just like, are you interested in playing football? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, and literally turned around and just ignored me. And I was like, oh, well, I guess fuck me then. And so I just like walked off and went to another booth. When I go to interview for the Wilson Scholarship, guess who was my tour guide at Jamestown College? It was that guy. And then he's having, so now because I'm interviewing for this like scholarship or whatever, and so then he has to like show me around campus. Like he was the tour guide. And then he's like, oh yeah, Bobel's, I stopped out there for a college fair or whatever. And I said, yeah, I remember. And he's like, oh, did you stop by the booth? And I said, yeah. And when I said I wasn't interested in football, you didn't really want to talk to me anymore. And he's like, oh, sorry about that. And I love to make it awkward. Yes, Don, I love to make it awkward. And so that was wild. And I just can't even imagine, because I think that school might even be religious, which would have been even worse for me, because I came out my freshman year of college. And so if I had gone through that process at this little like tiny, possibly religious school in Jamestown rather than at UND with the community that I had there, I can't even imagine. So they give out 7 of these Wilson scholarships. I ended up on the list 9th, and 1 person dropped out. So I was 1 person away from getting this scholarship. And that is the luckiest near miss that I've ever had, because I can't even imagine what my life would be if I had gone to Jamestown College. It almost kind of creeps me out. Like, what would that have been? And so I was just like, oh, so like, what's that Garth Brooks song about? Thank God for unanswered prayers. That's absolutely. Ooh, about King Guidance and the Nasty Smart Goth Girl. I love that. Oh, I don't even know what that is, but I love it. I love that, Janet. Oh, this is so good. I also didn't pay attention to like when I put this on, so we'll just leave it until it starts. Because this also, especially if you put the extra goop on it, it never really fully like dries. Like some of them get really dry and you kind of peel them off. These always stay nice and comfortable. Yeah, it sounds like a song, or it sounds like some sort of skit on something. Like it sounds like a short film that somebody would have. I love that. Oh, I keep playing with it now and it's ripping. But yeah, so that was a wild time. I almost went to Jamestown College. Excuse me, pretty girl. I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine. So weird. So weird. I don't know what would have happened. It is a tale of woe. Well, you should tell us. I love the dramatic lead up. Oh, this feels so nice. My skin is so mad. Oh, let's see. So we've got, should I try to eat pizza while I've got this thing on my face? It's already starting to rip. So I should have paid attention. I've got the little time counter. I'm trying not to talk with my mouth full, but I should have looked at the time counter before when I put this on, but I didn't do that. This pizza is hitting the spot. So I ate whenever I have a drag show day, because once I start doing my makeup, I don't like to eat because I know I'll mess things up. And so I usually try to have a late lunch, and then I know I'm getting pizza afterwards. So let me tell you about the little culinary journey I'm on, because I've decided I canceled. Let me tell you, before the pandemic, I know I'm going squirrel all the time, but it all links together, I promise. But if you had told me before the pandemic that I would pay a monthly fee for a food delivery service, I would have laughed in your face. I would have full on belly laughed in your face. I would have thought you were crazy. Cue the pandemic and we can't go out to restaurants. I signed up for DoorDash and I've never looked back. But now I had gotten to the point where I was ordering too much from DoorDash. I was ordering from DoorDash all the time. I upgraded to the annual pass so that I didn't even get billed monthly. I would just get billed once a year and you would save a little bit more. But I was like, I need to stop ordering so much food through DoorDash and I need to start cooking because I want to do more cooking. My problem is that the things that I know how to make pretty well, but I don't know how to make a lot of things. And I don't understand a lot of the like intricacies of how you make it. And so I rely on restaurants to give me variety, and then I just make the stuff that I make at home or whatever. Well, then I started eating at Crisp and Green, which is my favorite new place. And they have all these wonderful salads that it's the kind of stuff that I don't know how to pair together. Like, it's stuff that I'm like, I'm not even sure I like that thing, but everything that I've tried there, I've loved. And so I was like, I need to start doing some more of that. And my favorite salad there is the buffalo chicken. Oh, oh, I love a buffalo chicken salad. It's so good. So I was like, I'm going to do that. Dawn hasn't done a peel-off mask in years. Gave you one. Avon always had them. I was an Avon lady for like 2.5, 3 years. I kind of loved it. Not gonna. I did a whole video. There's a video on my channel about my MLM experiences because I've gotten talked into it 3 times. I was an Avon lady. I did Passion Parties, the sex toy company, and then I was a Tyra beauty tainer. What a dumb name for that, a beauty tainer. Yeah, but I loved Avon. Booked a flight this morning to PA, cultural experience at the very least. I love it. You sold Mary Kay. I was an Avon girly, so I didn't mess with Mary Kay too much. You were a cook at a French restaurant. Ooh, that sounds so good. So I'm trying to like learn more stuff and try more things. And so I snagged, like, Crisp and Green has a menu on their counter that has all the stuff in it and says what's in each salad. So I grabbed, they're free, they're for giveaway. I didn't steal it, but I took one. It makes it sound, I'm making myself sound like a criminal. And so I went to, let me tell you about Passion Parties. So it was all like sex toys. There might have been lingerie. I didn't have any like example lingerie. What I didn't realize is, so when you sign up, they give you this deal. They're like, oh, we'll give you this option because you have your sign up fee. That's the thing with MLMs. There's always the sign up fee, and then you get your kit or whatever. And then they say, oh, but we'll give you a one-time thing where you can order a bunch of samples to either have as inventory or stuff to put in your kit to display so you can get orders. And we'll give you a 60% discount or whatever it is. What they don't tell you is that every like 6 months, half or more of the stuff in the catalog gets discontinued, and then they bring in new stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I was like, I'll buy a big kit so that I have the best kit ever. And I bought all this stuff. And then in like 4 months, because I started in the middle of a cycle, in like 4 months, half the stuff got discontinued, and they're all of a sudden like, here's our new range. And I was like, oh, what about all that shit that I paid like $600 for? And I wanted to do it because I wanted to help like queer people figure out how to use sex toys better, because obviously some ways you might use them the same, but some ways you're going to use them differently, and you might be looking for different things. And so I wanted to do that. And all I got booked for was like Midwest housewives who wanted to tell me how bad in bed their husbands were. Let me tell you, every day I was on the verge of like, girl, leave that man. Leave that man. He sounds terrible. And so, but here's a vibrator, I guess, go with God. But so it was weird. But yeah, so I wanted, all of this goes back to the buffalo chicken salad. And so I wanted to do it. And I was like, I love a crock pot. I love cooking in a crock pot. And Dion actually found a deal on like a $20 air fryer, and she sent me an air fryer, and I haven't used it yet because I'm a little bit scared of it and I need to figure it out. But I did finally buy liner, so I'm going to figure it out. But I was like, hello, Grace. How's it going? Yeah, the MLMs, they got me. And I always went into it not thinking I was going to make a ton of money, especially the Tyra stuff. I just tried some of their makeup and I really, really liked it. So I was like, well, I'm going to sign up so I can get mine at a discount. And then if I sell some to other people, that's fine. And then that imploded so quickly. But yeah, so it was wild. Yeah, Beachbody. I remember so many people with the Beachbody. Oh. And so I thought I'm going to try to make like a big, so I bought some like chicken, and I put 2 packages of chicken. I like chopped it up, put it in with buffalo sauce, and let it cook overnight on low for like 10 hours. And I figured that like, it wasn't bad, but that's not the way to do it. I was hoping that I could do that because usually it's pretty easy. I'm not a morning person. I don't like to have to get up too early. And so if I can have something cooking in the crock pot where I can just throw it into a Tupperware or throw it in the fridge before I leave for work, that's great. So I was like, I'll do that. That didn't really work because the buffalo sauce didn't soak into the chicken as much as I was hoping. And so it was very like watery. It had a lot of water, and it changed the consistency of the chicken. Instead of just being like fall apart, it was almost like it was a weird texture. And so that didn't really work perfectly. So I'm going to try at some point, I'm going to do an experiment where I do that again, but I do it on high and for less time. So it's like on a weekend day when I'm home. So I can do it. But I made a bunch of buffalo chicken salads and it turned out okay. And because the chicken ended up being watery, I saved some of the water. And then I put some, because I made some rice, because the crisp and green buffalo chicken salad is like a rice bowl. And so in my rice cooker, I made it with half regular water and half the like buffalo sauce water. And that was really good. And then today I used the last of the buffalo chicken and I made buffalo chicken mac and cheese. And that was actually really good. That was the best of the experiments. So yeah, before 10 a.m. it's terrible. Up at 4:45. Oh, no, I can't. Oh no. Yeah, I used to have to be to work at 8 and that was the worst time of my life. And now that I work virtually and with the team that I'm on, I work by myself a lot. Every once in a while I have like meetings or I have like recording sessions. And especially if it's with people in India, it works out best with their time to be in early. But other than that, I can kind of, if I don't have any like meetings or recording sessions, I can like plan my own schedule and I'm not in before 10 o'clock. Like I'm just not. If somebody who's like in North America, like, because we have a lot of people in Costa Rica and we have people like in Arizona and Seattle, and the people in Seattle love to work at the butt crack of dawn. And I'm like, fuck off. Like a lot of the people in Seattle are in the office before I am, and I'm 2 hours ahead of them. And I'm just like, not for me. And so if somebody's from North America, I don't even let them schedule a meeting with me before 10 o'clock. I won't do it. I'm just like, we need to reschedule this. So I just am like, I don't care. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know why you think afternoons can't be for meetings, but I'm not having it. 5 a.m. every day. My mom retired and she's like, now I can sleep in. And her version of sleeping in, I think is like 7 a.m., 6:30. And I'm just like, what? What? Why would you do that? I'm going to go ahead and take this off. It's feeling pretty good. And I ripped that side. Oh, it feels so nice. And then there's always like oopy goop on the face. Oh, I love these. I love a mud mask because I'm oily, but every once in a while I just love a sheet mask. And these Amora from Five Below are so good. You get 5 of them and it's like $5. They're so good. Yes, I start work before 6:30. That's too early. It's too early. What time do I? Yeah, so I'm always up late. So that's the thing that's the other thing that I don't get is because sometimes the early morning people will be like, well, I just could never sleep in that much. I couldn't sleep in that much because you miss so much of the day. And I'm like, do you understand how time works? Because I promise you, if you are like most people, I don't know about Janet because she's here with us tonight at like almost midnight my time, after midnight my time, like 12:30. Because the people who would always talk about how I just love being up so early in the morning, but then they're in bed by 8, 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm up till 2. So I get my 8 hours, but like my 8 hours are just at a different time. So I don't miss any of the day. I just miss the parts of the day where they're awake. And sometimes with those people, it's fine. Some people are fine with just like, oh, it's what I prefer. But then there are some people who are like the morning evangelists. And I'm just like, I don't need to hear about it. Schedule a meeting at 1. I will see you then. I'm not meeting with you at like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's not happening. Oh, yeah. Drag yourself out of it. It's too much. I love a clay mask. If I was stuck on a desert island and I could only have one beauty product of any kind for the rest of my life, it would be the Queen Helene Mint Julep Mask. If you are an oily beast, I implore you, you have to try the Queen Helene Mint Julep Mask. It's gotten a little bit more expensive. I used to get it at Walmart. It used to be at Walmart in like the ethnic skincare section, and it was $2.47. Oh my God, those days. I used to go through a tube of that a month. I love it so much. You can find it at like beauty supply shops. Walmart, I don't think carries it anymore, unless I don't shop at Walmart in the skincare section as much as I used to. But the Queen Helene, oh, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it online. The Queen Helene Mint Julep Mask. I can't even, I can't, oh, seriously, if I could only have one beauty product for the rest of my life, if you're an oily beast, please, 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 please try that. Now, Queen Helene has a bunch of like scrubs and cleansers and other kinds of masks and like gel masks and things like that. And they're good too. I do like all of that. Every once in a while, I'll go on like the Queen Helene or I'll go on Amazon and I'll buy like a little collection of things and just try a bunch of different things. But that mint julep mask, I can't even tell you how many tubes of that I've gone through in my life. I love it so much. I love it so much. It is the best. Oh, yeah, Grace. I know you're always up and doing stuff. You are always working on stuff. Oh, yeah. I get my 4 hours, but I'm not okay. Yeah, when I don't get enough sleep, and that's the thing is, if I have to be there early, it's to the detriment of my job as well. And I end up having to like stay late because if I'm there at 8 o'clock in the morning, like I might get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't show up till 10. You know what I'm saying? So like those early mornings, I just can't do it. It's terrible. I get my caffeine from like zero sugar cola. I don't like the taste of coffee, but I definitely drink a lot. Oh, you threw an ancient one out. I love it. I love it. CeraVe lotion. I haven't tried that before. Let me know. Somebody just asked me about that, and I was like, actually, I haven't tried it. Because in North Dakota, because it gets so cold, even though I'm an oily beast, in the winter I'll start getting dry patches, and so I've thought about trying that CeraVe. Yeah, I'll have to see. Your friend in the 90s swore by that stuff. I love it. No caffeine. Haven't had coffee in years. I couldn't live without it. When I start to detox from caffeine, I become a real bitch. I become a real bitch. Philosophy clay mask. Ooh, interesting. I'd be interested in that. Actually show up at 6:30, but 2 I'm out of it. Yeah. If I have like a stretch where I know I'm gonna have a bunch of days, like every once in a while I'll do these like projects with people in India, and I'll know that I'll have to be there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, like several days in a row. I buy those like 5 hour energy shots from the gas station. Ooh, real sketchy, but oh, the CeraVe line is great. I have the cleanser. All right, I'm a beast without. Yeah, I can't do it. When I was in grad school, it got really bad. It got to the point where like my fellow graduate students, if I didn't have any cash on me to like buy a Mountain Dew from the machine, they would like slyly like leave quarters on my desk because I was such a bitch. When I would start to detox and I would become so just like growly that they would sometimes, or they would just leave a Mountain Dew on my desk and not say anything. And I'm like, sorry, I'm a ratchet bitch. It's terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh God, those were the days. And then I detoxed from caffeine and I was just drinking like uncaffeinated teas and water and all this kind of stuff. And then I had this boss that was a nightmare. A nightmare. She's no longer at our job. I outlasted her, but she was only there for 2 hours, and then 2 hours, 2 years, and they booted her out. But that 2 years was trauma. And when I tell you that, like, she clearly was not a good fit, and everybody acknowledged that later. And like, it was only a couple months in when the people on my team, we started getting pulled into like the HR office to be like, how are things going with this new person? It was wild. And when she finally got bounced out of there, and I think they only let her stay for 2 years because the company I work for will do like relocation funds and stuff. And so, and if you don't stay for 2 years, you have to pay it back. And so I think that because she had done all this stuff, I think they felt bad or something. And so I think they let her stay, but it was like almost 2 years to the day when they like terminated. And when she was gone and we had like a debrief with like HR, I'm not lying to you when I tell you that they suggested, based on what had happened, that we should seek like abuse counseling. Like, it was that bad. It was, when I tell people that she was a sociopath, they think that you know how people use therapy words and stuff, and they're just like, you're gaslighting me. And it's like, no, we're just having a conversation. Calm down. But like, so I know that like people like throw out therapy words and things, but when I say that she was a sociopath, I truly believe that she was a sociopath, 100%. And so it was a wild time. And that's when I started drinking it again, because the caffeine, like, it took the edge off. It mellowed me out a little bit, and I haven't been able to go back since then. I do love, like, this is from Aldi. I got my little strawberry water, and I do try to drink more, even if it's like carbonated or something like that. I do try to stick to like 0 calorie and less sugar and all that kind of stuff. And I try not to drink soda. Some people might argue this is soda because it's carbonated, but I try to just drink water and like juices and teas and stuff when I'm at home, and then I just drink the soda at work. I love that. Piece of caffeine. Ooh, caffeine. Is that a caffeine Coke Zero? Yeah, I love Coke Zero very much. Yeah, I need a lot of caffeine to get me through the day, and I've been trying to mix it up where I'll buy like 0 calorie root beers, because usually the root beers don't have any caffeine, and I'll just like mix them out. So I'm trying to like take down the amount of caffeine without completely going all the way off of it. But pretty girl. Last my last job was a terror. Eating Tums 15 minutes after arriving. Now I have the same job for months. He was an ass. Yeah, I work for one of the big tech companies, and I don't really talk about it a lot because I don't, because first of all, it doesn't really have anything to do with what I do on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But also, even if I talk about my experience at my like big tech company or whatever, any big corporation is kind of the same. What happens with big corporate jobs, and even like smaller, like office-y kind of jobs, is that so much of your experience of it depends on who your manager is, who your team is. So like, it's not, if I have a terrible experience, it's not because I'm at X company. It's because I had a terrible manager for 2 years. Like that's why I had that terrible experience. I also had, one of the best managers I've ever had for a year and a half. He was absolutely phenomenal, and like, he was a fantastic people manager. And so I don't really talk about it just because it gets kind of weird. Like, it's one of the big ones. Everybody knows it. And so I don't talk about it a lot just because I like to keep those parts of my identity separate. I'm in my secret civilian identity now. So I had to stop caffeine, and I'm weird because it doesn't keep me up. Yeah, I could drink a Mountain Dew and go right to bed. Caffeine really doesn't affect me anymore, because it's just gotten to be such of a like part of my system that I honestly could like drink a whole Mountain Dew and go right to bed. To me, it's more about like stress will keep me awake. Like, sometimes with certain things with projects, if something's like going off the rails, I will have like a horrible, horrible night. And I started having these weird stress dreams where I was dreaming about having to explain my job like to other people. It was so terrible. But it wasn't like literally my job. It would be like a very easy metaphor for my job. And so I do like video production. And so I would dream that I was at this conference having to explain like YouTube. But it was all stuff that I was doing in my job. And so I was like, when I would wake up, I'd be like, clearly this is about my job. So and that's one thing as I get older, and as I get more stressed, I don't know. When I was younger, I didn't remember my dreams a lot. And when I did, it was because they were fucking weird. Like, anytime that I would remember my dream, it would be like the weirdest thing ever. And I would wake up and I would have to like call my mom and tell her about it because it was so bad. Now I remember my dreams almost every night. And unfortunately, too often they're boring, but they're like related to things happening in my life. And I'm just like, ugh, I have to deal with that at work. Can I not deal with it also when I dream? So I don't know if there's something my brain isn't like processing the same way. Tums doesn't help me. Oh, no. So let me tell you a fun story about Tums, and then pretty soon we can wrap this up. But I've been enjoying this kind of late night hangout, and I'm glad that people were around and people stopped in. And so when we went to Duluth Pride, my friends Dwayne and Rob and I, last year was the first year I'd ever gone to I'd ever gone to Pride. My silly job has had a silly effect on. Tell us, Janet. We would love to hear that. But we went to Duluth Pride, and I had a good time. It was really fun. This last year wasn't as fun. I don't know. People seem not as friendly. It was odd. I might go back next year. I haven't really decided, but they do it over Labor Day weekend. And so I always am prepared with like the ibuprofen. I've got purse ibuprofen. I've got office ibuprofen. I've got home ibuprofen. Like I'm at that age where now I just have ibuprofen everywhere I go. Like in my house, like I have, this is actually naproxen. This is like basically a generic Aleve, but so I have that in here, and I have ibuprofen in the bathroom, in the room right next to me. I have a bottle in my room, and I have a bottle in the drawer in the kitchen, and I have like office and purse, all this kind of stuff. So I haven't been to Pride in 2 years. I don't love big city prides. I like smaller, more intimate, kind of interesting ones. And Duluth is kind of towing that line where it still feels kind of like a small town pride, but it gets a nice crowd. And so we went and we had a fun time. And so I had all that, but Dwayne and Rob always have a variety of just like pain meds and all kinds of things. And Dwayne likes the chewable Tums that kind of look like Mentos. And he has this little tiny Tupperware of chewable Tums that he keeps in his pocket. And so he brought it with, and we were at the bar, and I don't know what he was like, do you need a Tums? Like, I think we had a pizza or something. And so he took this out to like get a Tums, but he's got this little container with little white tablets. I mean, they look like Mentos. They don't really look like pills, but still like a little thing. And then he's like offering people Tums. He's like, do you want some Tums? Do you want some Tums? Of course we all did, because we're all old and we wanted to like chew the Tums because we were going to have heartburn. But I was like, and then he's just like leaving it on the table. And I was like, can you put that away? Hello, Rainbow Rose. How are you doing? I was like, you have to put that away. He's like, why? And I was like, because people are going to think that we have drugs. And I would rather legitimately go to jail for people thinking I have drugs than to have somebody come over and confront us and realize that we are the Golden Girls and we're sitting here with a little container of chewable Tums. I would rather die. Please put that away. I can't do it. Like, just put it away. Oh, is this Rose? This is Rose. Yay. Hello. Yes, CJ said that you might be stopping by. Hello, hello. Now it doesn't show people's display name. It shows the like @ handle. I don't love that, because then I have to try to remember like some people it matches up, and then some people it doesn't. So then I have to try to remember who people are. Oh, visiting your bestie during Pride and we didn't know. It was so cool. Fabulous. Love that. Hello, Joe. Catching us late at night. Love that. Oh, not the best. PTSD in 2020. Yes, that can absolutely happen with that. I absolutely deal with some PTSD from that. It was awful. I mean, that 2 years when honestly, the HR said you guys should get abuse counseling. Like you should look into that. They were giving us like all the resources, like all the free stuff, and we're like, you should go, because it was really that bad. Like, people don't sometimes think that work trauma can be like that serious, and it absolutely is. Hello. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing better. Oh, so wild. Hello, Joe. It's so exciting to have you. I had a show tonight, and so I came on I did a removal with the Blend Bunny unveil, and then we did a face mask. I was telling everybody, did I throw it away? Yep. These from Five Below, these Amora masks. This is the tea tree, and they have a vitamin C. And I love these. You get 5 of them for like $5. They are so good. So good. I absolutely love these. If you like a sheet, excuse me. If you like a sheet mask, they are so good, and I love them after. I'm probably still going to take a shower just to like fully scrub down, and just because I've been in costumes and wigs, and so you get sweaty and gross and all that kind of stuff. So I'll take a shower before bed, but wanted to pop on and just kind of hang out for a little while. So it's been a good time. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. And like I said, that look that I had on in the beginning of the video, replay crew, you rock. You already saw it. And then if anybody here decides to watch it again, you'll see the look. You'll see the look at the end of the night. It's a little rough, but I used the Danessa Myricks Lightworks Volume 6 and Volume 7. I used them together. And then I used the Unicorn Snot liquid lipstick with the glitter. I used a little bit of Unicorn Snot glitter on just kind of around the eye look near my temples. I did the Lethal Cosmetics Conjuring Highlighter. What did I use? Oh, I used the Bella Beauté Bar Baked Blush Palette. And the rest of it will all be in the video. I can't remember it. But also, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you caught it too, Jana. I'm glad you were. Yeah, HR. One of the best things, one of my first managers at the company I'm at now, when I started at a very low level, one of the smartest things she told me, and that I can't believe it took me that long for it to really click, is that you need to remember that like HR is not your friend. And anybody who works in HR, I'm sure you're lovely people, all these kinds of things. But the nature of HR is that HR is there to protect the company. So if protecting you protects the company from some sort of legal issue or something, then HR is on your side. They are there to help you. And this is any company. Again, I'm not saying this about my company. I'm not saying this about your company. I'm saying every company where there's HR is there to protect the business. And so if you and your concerns and the things that are happening to you, if protecting you protects the business, then they will be on your side. They will be the best allies you could find. If you are potentially a problem for the business, then it's going to get real difficult. And so that was one of the best pieces of business advice I ever got from one of my first managers at this job that I'm at, the company that I'm at now. I've been in several roles and moved teams and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, they're there to make sure the company doesn't get sued. Absolutely. Humans are a resource like raw materials. Yeah, it's just, and that's the thing is if something is happening to you that could get them sued, they will absolutely be on your side and they will fight for you and they'll make sure that things happen and all this kind of stuff. But if there's something that like they feel like there could be an issue and that you would be the source of the problem, whatever it is, however it is, like if they're worried that you're going to sue or that you're going to do something, like forget about it. Forget about it. So that's why it's really like you have to kind of think about that as you're thinking about the things that you bring to HR. And that certainly was an issue with, that manager that I had that was a sociopath, because when we started getting, she had been there for a couple of months and we're getting pulled in and they're asking us like, how are things going? They're doing the like asking around kind of thing of like, how are things going? Do you think that, she's fitting in well? Like how are, it should have clued in for me. And I think it probably subconsciously did. But again, I always had that thought in my brain of like, don't be the problem. And so I was kind of like, yeah, there's some rough spots and whatever. And at first I didn't realize, however, but when I tell you the reign of terror that woman went on, she got one of the trainers to quit. I was on a training team and like she got one to quit and then she got one who had to take a leave of absence. And then like two of us really got focused on, and then she was starting to move on to a newer one towards the end of her stay or whatever. And it was horrible. Like, and it just kind of, it just kept happening. And we kept like trying to like tell people around us, like people who were mentors or like colleagues, they would be like, oh, like she's terrible. Like I had to work with her in this meeting and she was terrible. And we're like, yep, that's our experience every single day. So it was really bad. And I remember that we had gotten a new, so she was my boss, like my boss's boss. We got a new skip level, we call it. And so we got a new skip level. And the first time I met her in person, because I was in Seattle, she was based in Seattle. I'm from Grand Forks and this manager was in Grand Forks. And so I saw her every single day. But I was in Seattle for a training. And so this new like skip level wanted to have a meeting. And both this other trainer who was based in Seattle and I both went into our meetings with her the first time we've ever met her in person. And we both, like within 5 minutes, were sobbing, like in this meeting about how high pressure, how awful, like the whole situation was and how it wasn't happening. And she only came over to meet us because there was somebody who was on the LXD team She was so lovely. She has since passed away. It was very tragic. That one still hurts my heart a little bit, but she was this woman who was the new skip level was her mentor because she oversaw the training and the learning designer. So the people who did the curriculums. And so this woman met with the skip level and she said, you need to go over to that building because we were all in different buildings. And she said, you need to go over to Galaxy. You need to meet with them and you need to talk with them and you need to like hear what's going on, because everybody was telling her like, you know, what their impressions of our boss were. She's like, they're the ones who work for her. You have to go talk to them. And so she came over and like I said, within 5 minutes, both of us like sobbing, like just breaking down. And it was such an eye-opening thing for her. And that kind of, I think, also started getting the ball rolling. And HR had already been building a case for a long time through this whole thing, because we had regular meetings with HR. After a while, that first one after a couple months, then it was like a few months later and we got called in. And then it started to be like every other month, like we were having a meeting with HR just to talk about issues. And eventually we all got much more loose-lipped and we were much more like, yes, let us tell you how things are going. We just kind of like, it was too much. And so we were like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah, humans, they treat like cattle. Absolutely. HR lady at my last job could never help me. She just shrugged. I had to go to someone else. Yeah, it's tough. Like their job is so specific and it's so limited. And so the way they talk about like it's human resources, but they're there to do very specific functions. And so, yeah, it's it's a tough one. So yeah, that was that. Maybe someday there will be a whole like chatty get ready with me, or there'll be a story time where I really just kind of lay out all of the stuff, because it was a nightmare. I'll give you one example. The one example that I give to everybody when I tell them about like what it was like working in that scenario is because I was a trainer and I'm based in Grand Forks. We have offices in Seattle and Arizona. We have them all over, but for like the team that I was a trainer for, our main locations were Seattle and then Costa Rica and Phoenix, Arizona, Tempe, Arizona. And so, and Costa Rica had their own training team. So mostly I would go to Seattle and Arizona. And the first time that I went for so our training classes when I first started were 3.5 weeks. So if you were training a class somewhere else, you were there for 4 weeks. And I love traveling because I'm single. I love going new places. And of course, like being in Seattle, it's different when you live there versus when you can go and you've got a company card and they're putting you up in a nice hotel and they're buying your meals and they're buying your Ubers. So like, I understand that my experience in Seattle and Arizona was not like a residence experience. I was so privileged and I absolutely loved it because it was a chance to like get out of here and I could go to theater and I could just experience new communities. And it was lovely. And I'm not like, when it comes to my money, like I piss, right? Leanne Morgan talks about piss money away. Like but when it comes to like spending my company money, I am very thoughtful and I am very frugal, but I also recognize that like they are asking me to be outside of my home for 4 weeks at a time. There was at least 1 year, maybe 2 years, where I spent more nights in hotels than I did in my house. Like there was a couple of months where I sent off a check and I didn't set foot in my house because I rent this house. I didn't set foot in this house for the entire month, but I sent a rent check. That's how it was. Like, and most of the time I loved it. And sometimes I would get overwhelmed. I'd be like, you need to take me off the travel schedule for a little while. And then I would rest up and then I would go again. One of the first times I ever went to Seattle for a training class, again, 3.5 weeks. So I'm there for basically 4 weeks. Because I was there for so long, I ran out of like shampoo and deodorant and like the basic like hygiene stuff that you need to have. You need to like, you're going in and training people for their jobs. You're a professional. You have to like not have body odor. You have to be able to wash your hair, all that. Now I work by myself, so my hair is always crazy, but like you have to be presentable, right? And so I got done with work. And what I would typically do is sometimes I would take my laptop case with me, but most of the time I would go Uber back to the hotel, drop off my laptop, Uber to a restaurant and have whatever, and then Uber back to the hotel and do a little work or scroll or watch movies or whatever I was doing. So on this one trip, because I was out of shampoo and deodorant and all of that, I Ubered to the hotel, dropped off my laptop, Ubered to the restaurant, Ubered to Target to buy shampoo and deodorant and all of these things, a work-related expense, and then Ubered back to the hotel. So there was one extra Uber ride. It was $4.88. And I remember that so specifically because when I got back, I got called into my manager's office and she's like, tell me about your expense report. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, it was one of the first time I'd only done a couple of expense reports before. So I was like, did I fill it out wrong? Like, is there something that's not right? And she was like, what is this Uber ride for $4.88? And I was like, what do you mean? And so I looked at the reason and I said, oh, I went to Target. I was like, I had to buy shampoo and deodorant and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I was there for a long time. I was running out of stuff. So I just went and bought some stuff. And she looked me dead in the face and she said, we are not here to subsidize your shopping sprees. Ma'am. Now, I did not. So my friend Siobhan, the one who has passed, when I told her about this, she was livid. She was like, my boss, Terry, she's like, not only would he have told me to expense the Uber ride to Target to get it, she's like, he would have told me to expense the shampoo and the deodorant too. She's like, that is insane. Not only was it insane to have to hear about it. So I was like, oh, and I'm also stubborn. And so she's like, well, are you going to put that in as a personal expense? And I said, absolutely not. I said, for future trips, now I know that this is because our travel policy is real vague. They're just like, make good decisions, be frugal, but, spend money where you need to spend money. Like, it makes sense. But because she didn't think that should happen, then that became a problem. And so I'm getting reamed out about this $4.88. Now, mind you, the person who is the CEO of this company, one of the richest people in the entire world, this company can afford to send me on a $4.88 Uber ride to Target. Not only did I have to get reamed out in that meeting, I heard about that $4.88 Uber ride on my mid-year review. I heard about it on my end of year review. And in fact, she used that as like a reason to not give me a cost of living increase at the end of that year because of this $4.88 Uber ride. So that's and she brought it up in at least 3 other meetings, like meetings with other people where we were talking about like travel schedules and things, had nothing to do with that. She would bring it up out of nowhere. And that's one instance. When I tell you there are hundreds of instances of things like that, of like little things. It got to the point where I obsessively saved email chains because she would send an email to tell you to do something. And then in a meeting, she would try to say, well, I didn't tell you to do that. That's wrong. That's terrible. And I would have to bring up the email in the meeting and say, oh, this is the email from you, right? Where you're specifically telling me to do this. And then she'd be like, oh, I guess things must have gotten confused. And if you didn't have that email evidence, she would rake you over the coals for something she told you to do. Like, it was things like that. It was mind games. It was fuckery. Sociopath. I promise you, she's a sociopath. Joe, you worked HR and hated it. I can imagine. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're a nice person, it's a tough place to be. Not that they aren't nice. They can be very nice. And I know some of them, like in their personal lives, very, very nice, but it's a very specific job. Yeah, there's something about it. It's so weird. Yeah, 488. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre, Janet and CJ. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. Living that 488. Yeah, she was crazy. Everybody, thank you for agreeing with me. I'm glad that like it wasn't just me feeling like I was going crazy, because I felt like I was going crazy. That's the thing, is that there was so much of that where I had to get, because I'm a person who I used to be very flippant about deleting emails or whatever and all that kind of stuff. And I was so hyper vigilant. And after she was gone, I had emails that were from her because my traumatized ass couldn't get rid of them for like 3 years after she was gone. Like, it was bad. It was real bad. And so I had all this stuff, and like every manager since then, I've had to like eventually at some point, there's been some friction where I've had to be like, here's what you need to know about my previous boss, and this is why I am the way that I am, and I need you to like work with me. Like I need to, because I get very like, it's very easy for me to get very defensive. That trauma response kicks in. And like if somebody questions something, I'm just like immediately like, what's going on? And like I usually get good reviews. I get, you know, I get like meeting the bar to excellent. Like I'm not tooting my own horn, I promise, but like I get good reviews except for that one review from her the year of the 488 Uber ride. And then when I realized I just had to like smile and just never contradict her and just try to do my own thing on my own, like that was the one time I had a bad review. Otherwise, I've always had great reviews. And but every time we have the review, every year when we do our annual review, it's the worst thing in the world. I hate it. I hate receiving feedback because everything, it just like triggers that trauma response immediately. Like an annual review feels like trauma. And it reminds me of that trauma because she absolutely would weaponize that annual review against people. And so that was something that just, it was terrible. And it's still terrible to this day, years and years and years later. I think she was with the company from 2016 to 2018. That's how long it's been. Like it's been, you know, from when she started, it's been almost 10 years. And it's just like, it's insane. It's absolutely, it's just insane. Like it's so wild to me. Oh, so crazy. But yeah, so it's just like, there's no trust. Absolutely. Like there's no trust. You have to earn it. And even after you earn it, I'm vigilant. And so, because now I have this boss who's like, he's a great guy and he's generally pretty good, but like, he's just such a like blunt, straight shooter. And sometimes he doesn't think about how he like delivers feedback, where he'll just be like, why are we doing that? Like, and it's just kind of thing. And immediately I go into like super defensive mode and I'll be like, I did it this way because of this. And I start explaining and he's like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? And so eventually, or I'll just like not say anything. And eventually it'll get to a point where it boils up. And I have to have like a conversation with him where I have to be like, here's what I need you to know about the way you're communicating. And then he'll be like, oh shit, yeah, we talked about that. I need to like remember. He's like, I'm really sorry. Like we have to. And so because he's just that like super blunt personality, like we just every once in a while we have to have a check-in because I start to bubble and still I like and then he's like, oh, Chris is on the verge again, so we have to like talk about it because it was terrible. I mean, it was all of those little things and like weird little nitpicky things like the 488 Uber ride or like sending you an email and telling you to do something and then trying to like get you in trouble for doing that thing and like all of this kind of stuff. So all of these different things that she would do. And then like, so we had that bad review and then I was on like an improvement plan. So here's the kicker, because the way like our company, at least at the time, I don't know if it still works this way, but basically if you were going to put somebody on a performance plan with the intention of like having them fired, they do this thing called stack ranking where they like, if you're under this umbrella person, you get together and you all like rank so you're like, I've got these 5 people and this is how I rank them. And then the other people they have this one. So on your team, you have to be the like least, I forget what it was, but it was like lowest value or something. It was a terrible thing. They didn't want us to know about it, but it always got leaked or whatever. And so it was like, you had to be at the bottom rung to be put on one of these plans. Otherwise, they said you have to work it out, you have to figure it out, you have to do whatever. And she could never put me on that bottom rung because my metrics, again, I promise I'm not just like gassing myself up here, but I loved training and I was a very good trainer. And so that one performance review, like that irked me so much because I had some of the best performance metrics in the globe for our section of the company. I was like number 2 or number 3 that year. And I didn't get a cost of living increase. I didn't get any of the stuff because she like shut it down, but she couldn't put me on like a true like get you fired performance plan because I wasn't the lowest ranked. Because I think, and I kind of heard rumors, you know, there's always those like little office rumors or whatever, but I'd heard that she tried to, and everybody was like, look at these metrics. Like this is like number 3 in the world of all of our people, and you're going to try to say they're the lowest value. And so she kind of, so like, they wouldn't even let her do that. And so, but she put me on her own like performance plan. Hello, Dion. We're just talking about work trauma. A PIP, yes, a performance improvement plan. And so she couldn't put me on that, but she put me on her own version of it. And she would make these like veiled threats about my job, where there was something where we were working, we were doing this whole thing. And then at some point she decided she wanted me to like conduct this book club for our team. She wanted, because she always said that I wasn't direct enough. I wasn't direct enough. Well, I wasn't direct because if I said anything direct to her, she'd like threaten me and like do all this other stuff. So she wanted this like book club and she wanted me to run it. So I put together this book club and I sent it out to our other trainers and they all declined. And they were like, that's not part of my job responsibilities. I'm not fucking doing it. And so I was talking to somebody that I thought was a friend, somebody that I thought not only was a colleague, but I thought we were actually friendly. And I was saying, I was venting, right? We have to have that coworker to vent to. And I thought she was the one, and that's my problem. I should have known that we weren't actually close enough, but we had worked together enough and I thought we were close enough. And so I was just like venting. And I was like, I don't care if it's just me and her in a room talking about this stupid fucking book. I was like, if she wants a book club, she's going to get a book club. Well, that person went right to my manager and told her what I had said. And tried to couch it and like, I'm really worried about Chris. He seems like he's really stressed out. So then I get called into a meeting and she's like, I never told you you had to have a book club. What are you talking about? Like all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you did tell me. I was like, let me get out the email. Here's where you told me you wanted a book club. And she's like, I hope that you can come around to this idea because I would really hate for us to undo all the progress we've made over this last year. Like she would make threats like that. And I was like, we're going to do a book club. I was like, it's planned. We're going to do it. I was like, Tina and Jen and Shelly don't want to come, but we'll just do it. We'll just do it. Actually, Tina might have left by that time already. She's the one that got chased away, but she was just over it and just took off. But, and so I was just like, we're going to have the book club. It's going to be fine or whatever. And then I went back to that person and I said, I don't understand why you did this. Like I said, I would appreciate it if you kept our conversations between us. I was like, I was just venting to you. I was like, that was not like me trying to say that you should talk to my manager. Like I was just venting. I thought, I'm sorry if you felt that wasn't appropriate. I won't do it again or whatever. She went and told my boss that I had that conversation with her. So then I was like, okay, she's an enemy. So then I was like, okay, I can't trust her at all. And so, it was just wild. That's the kind of like nightmare that I lived in for 2 years. It's really terrible. Hello, Dion. Hello. Let's see what everybody's saying. Hello. Too much gaslighting. It was so much. It was awful. When I tell you that like the number of times that I just like sat at my desk and cried, I can't even. Like after the training day would be over, I would see an email in my email and I would just like sit in the training office and just like cry at my desk. Like it was awful. It was bad. It was bad. And then it was like, and then the poor guy. So let me tell you. So then after she left, we got this manager for a while. His name is Dustin, and Dustin is like a fixer, right? He's such a dude. He's such a like straight guy, and he's a little bit awkward with people. And so he's really good. Like he's a tech guy, and he's like building apps and AI shit, and he's doing amazing because he's really good with computers, and he's a really caring person. He was like, in some ways, he was the perfect person to like have him be the manager of our team after this horrible person. But he didn't know what to do with us because he walked into this place and he had all of these trainers who were on like the verge of a meltdown. And like every time we would get upset and we would talk about something, he was like, oh, people are having emotions. And he would immediately go into fix it mode. And we eventually had to say, Dustin, we appreciate you so much, and we understand that you want to fix things. Some things cannot be fixed, or some things we're already fixing. Like some things I'm already working on it. I just need you to hear me. I was like, that's what I haven't had for 2 years, is somebody to just hear me and listen to me and acknowledge me and all of that. I was like, I can fix my own problems. If I need you to help me, I will say, Dustin, can you help me with this thing? And so we had to kind of train him. Like, if we need help, we will explicitly tell you, like, I need help with this thing. And so, because he would immediately just like get uncomfortable and he'd be like, I'm going to call a meeting and I'm going to do that. And we're like, no. My dear, sweet summer child, I don't need you to call a meeting. I've got it taken care of. I'm working on it. It's okay. I just need you to hear my frustration, because I've been in an environment where I wasn't allowed to have a frustration, which who doesn't have a frustration at work ever? That doesn't happen, right? Like, and so it was like, there's going to be frustration. I just need you to hear me. And he was so sweet and like, just like trying to like get us. And it took him a little while to adjust of like, oh, I've got people who are all like on the verge. And so I need to just like calm down. And so, and he's wonderful, and he's still working. He's still like in my umbrella. And so he was like a great manager to have after that. So he was very, very nice. And then when I moved to a different, then he started doing other things and we got a different manager. That one wasn't great. And then I moved to a different team where I was doing different stuff besides the training. And he was the one who was like the best manager I've ever had and was like absolutely 100% people first. He's not managing anymore. He went into like a software development role. And I think part of it is because the corporate world just like runs you down. And so like he was the best like people manager, but it was like, then sometimes it was like, oh, if you have to prioritize results or people, he would prioritize people. And they were like, what are you talking about? Results. It's results. And so I think it wasn't always a great fit for him, but he's the kind of person who should be a people manager because he was excellent. Yeah, it was wild. Oh, Janet, I am so sorry if that is happening to you now, because it's the worst. It's legitimately the worst thing. I mean, it is so terrible to be in that kind of environment, and you can't like, you're always hyper vigilant because you can't like, I mean, and then after that thing with that other coworker where I finally just like was exploding and had to vent to somebody, and to have her turn around and go right to my boss and like, and so I just was like, and so then after that, like that ruined our entire relationship, professional, personal, everything. And I just was cold and cordial. And and so then I'm having to do the whole, like, I almost felt like I was gaslighting, because then she started being like, what's the matter? Like, we don't talk like we used to or whatever. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine. And I had to just be like, no, everything's fine. I don't know what you're talking about, because I was like, I can't say anything is wrong because I can't trust that you won't immediately then take that to this nightmare woman and cause problems for me. So I just had to, so she knew something was wrong because I was not engaging with her in any sort of way. And if she would ask, I just had to be like, no, I couldn't even have the conversation of like, you betrayed me, and so we're not going to connect in that way anymore. I had to just be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Just been busy. And so not even being able to like have that, being able to have honest conversations. That was, I think that's, I don't know if I've even said it in that way before. I think just having 2 years of not being able to have like real honest conversations with almost anyone, especially that second year, because when she first got in, it was sort of this like slow buildup where everybody was like, well, she's a little odd, but maybe she'll eventually fit in. And okay, this is a little strange. Okay, like maybe it's just growing pains. She's finding her way, everything. And then that second year, everybody was like, no, she's terrible. She's a nightmare, and she's making everybody else's lives a nightmare, and we don't know how to get rid of her. And then they let her stay for 2 years so she wouldn't have to pay back her relocation money, allegedly. And then it was like, oh, okay, there we go. I guess here we are. It was just wild. It was very strange. And that skip level where I started bawling in her office, and my colleague started bawling in her office when we were talking. Once she was gone, then the next time I was in Seattle, she's like, you know, I know you had really bad experiences, and I just want you to know that that separation was very intentional. And I know she was well-meaning saying it, but there was like part of me that was like, then why did it take so fucking long? That's the part that if I have any sort of like residual sort of anger about is that, I mean, it was literally like month 2, the first time I got pulled into HR to have this discussion. And so I'm like, everybody knew that she was a terrible fit. Certainly by year 2, that once that second year started, everybody knew that it was not fit. It was not working out. And they were doing all the things that they have to do, right? Like they put her on a performance improvement plan and they have to give her time to like try to find a better fit. Like it's this whole thing or whatever. But I was like, but they let her still be our manager. Like they let her still be in charge of us. They let her still do all of this rather than like putting her on some project and like finding some other way to do it. I was like, yeah, this was intentional, but it was also really fucking slow. Like you let her continue to do this to us for an entire year. So I don't know. So that's if I have any sort of like residual rage, that's where it comes from. But yeah, it was a time that taught me a lot. It was something that like there's some things in my life like that have been negative experiences where I'm like, you know what, even though it was bad, I'm glad that I went through it because I saw that I was strong enough to get through it. I learned whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is the one thing where I'm like, I'm not glad I went through this. I think that like this should have been cut off much sooner. And I don't know what could have made that happen, but it should have been dealt with much, much sooner. Yeah, it's tough. That's the thing is that, and especially at like a big corporation where it's very competitive, you just get certain people that are like, they're so competitive and they're so focused on their own ambition and their own pursuits that they don't care what they do to you as long as you help them achieve what they want to achieve. And it's just awful. Ugh. Yeah, it's terrible. Like just having to like go through, and I felt like a Stepford wife. I mean, it got to a point where if you've seen the movie The Stepford Wives, I love it. And I also think you should read the book. The Stepford Wives, I think, is one of the best, most concise. I used to use it for a writing class that I taught because it's so perfectly written. Like every detail that's included matters, and it's only like 85 pages. It's so good. But I felt like a Stepford wife where I had to like walk around and I had to be like, everything's fine. Everything's great. How was your weekend? Like, this person that like is putting me through mental anguish and I'm having to go in and have these like, how was your weekend? Oh, that sounds fun. Like, oh, you did this? Oh, that sounds fun. Okay, cool. Like, it just was like becoming automated, and and that was the thing is that then sometimes like if I had a class, I would be there, because usually you were there 8 to 5, but our training classes would go 8 to 5. So you'd have to be there a little bit early to get everything set up, and you'd have to be there a little bit late. And there were so many days where like once I knew she was out of the building, like I was crying at my desk. Like it was just terrible. Oh, yeah. I'm very much a speak my mind kind of person, but I'm definitely more selective about it now. And also one thing that training got me really used to, because some of the conversations that I had to have with full-grown adults still blow my mind. And so I learned a lot of like sometimes, and even in my like regular life, I use some of my corporate speak, which is a little bit like, but it's also really, really useful because like conversations I would have to have, instead of being like, why did you do this? That's nutty. People are immediately on the defensive. So if you had somebody that was having like a behavior problem or there was something that was going on, having to go in and be like, help me understand this situation, like having to couch it in this kind of terms, help me understand why this happened. And all this kind of stuff. And one thing that I still say to people all the time, one of the things that I got out of it was assume positive intent. That's such a corporate speak thing of like when you're frustrated with somebody and like they're doing something you don't like, or you're doing something that you feel is disrespectful or whatever, is going into it and assuming, okay, I'm going to assume that this person has positive intent. I'm assuming that they are not wishing me ill, that they are not trying to torpedo what we're doing, that they're not trying to be rude, they're not trying to be disrespectful. So if I assume that they have positive intent, how can I reframe what they're saying that is frustrating or annoying me? And that has been really useful to me because I I'm a Capricorn. I can hold a grudge until I'm cold and dead in the ground. And so like I sometimes will react to things and then I have to kind of walk myself back. That was another thing with Dustin after that whole like 2 years. It was so funny because of that, anytime there was change, I told him, I was like, you need to just give me a minute. Because I said, anytime there's a big change, here's what's going to happen. My initial reaction is going to be, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. This is the apocalypse. This is Armageddon. This is terrible. Everything is going to crash and burn. We're all going to die. Like, I'm going to have the most dramatic response ever. And I said, but here's the thing. I just need you to like stay out of it, because what's going to happen is that after I've had that reaction, then I'm going to start like talking myself into it. And then I'm going to be like, well, actually, we've been frustrated about this for a long time. And it sounds like this could maybe help that a little bit. And actually, I think if we did something this way, I start to like problem solve, right? And I start to kind of talk myself through it. And so I had to tell him, I was like, I just need you to understand that my first reaction is always going to be Armageddon. It's always going to be like, we're going to be at 12, right? On a scale of 10, we're going to be at 12. And then I'm going to get myself back to a like moderate level. And then eventually I can tell you my real feelings about it. But I was like, just let me go. Just let me spin. Just let me spin. Trust me. I was like, if I'm spinning and I can't stop myself spinning, I will tell you. I will let you know, and I will let you help me like get down from that place. But I was like, just know that I have to spin and I have to like spin myself out. And then once I like can take a breath, I was like, you have to just let me. Oh, yeah. It's tough. A job that I worked before. So I used to be the assistant textbook manager at the UND bookstore. We were like a $4.5 million store. So like not one of their huge stores, but like still a big store or whatever. And I was the assistant manager. And so in my woo-woo stuff, I have a post on my website where I talk about how, when people talk about like zodiac signs, I know as like a Capricorn, I'm also least likely to actually believe in the zodiac of all the signs or whatever. But I believe that people have like a communication style, and I like relate them to the elements that are in the tarot. It's a whole kind of thing to basically tell you that basically I'm a water person, and water people are like the emotional ones. And so like we can sit and stew with stuff forever. And then there are fire people, and fire people react immediately and they're like, ah, and then they're over it 5 minutes later. And at the bookstore, I used to work with a fire person who would just be like, ah, and would come and get me wound up. And then I would be wound up, but I would stay wound up because I sit with that and I hold on to it. 5 minutes later, she couldn't even remember we had the conversation. So that was like a really terrible situation. I enjoy her and I like her as a person, but like when she got upset about something, she would come to me because she knew I would also get upset. And then once she talked it out, she was done. And then I was just sitting there like spinning. So yeah, that was an odd place. But then having that like tool of like assume positive intent, like take it back, assume the positive intent. So sometimes when I'm talking to people and when I'm talking to friends, I've done this to Dion. I appreciate you so much, Dion, and I apologize because I have certainly like gone into like corporate speak sometimes, and it's become so like second nature to me of like that corporate speak that yeah, so water people, we can hold on to things forever. And I'm a Capricorn. So like Capricorn is an earth sign, but when it comes to my communication, I'm a water person. And like my mom is an earth person. She's very like utilitarian. And so I was always the emotional one where I was always like wound up, and she's like, here we go again. Oh, I love it. Yeah. I'm glad that my corporate speak doesn't annoy you, because I definitely I don't know what Pisces is as like a water sign, but like in terms of communication style. So like water people are very emotional. And so it's when we get upset, we stay upset for a long time. Fire people tend to have bursts. So like they're really mad, they're really sad, they're really happy, but then they regulate back to like a baseline pretty easily. Pisces, I think they might be a water sign. I can't remember. And then so earth people are very practical, very utilitarian. And then air people, air is like the suit in the tarot of the mind and thinking of things. And so air people will like analyze things to death. So if you have somebody like who like mansplains you to death, that's probably an air person. Like that's kind of their thing. And sometimes your like communication style lines up with the element of your sign, like your zodiac sign, but not always. Yeah, I can't remember because there's Pisces, which is the fish, and then there's Aquarius, which is the water bearer, and they're right next to each other. And one of them is a water sign and one of them is not. And I can't remember which is which. My mom, I think, is a Pisces. And so, because I'm Capricorn, my birthday's in January, I'm right at the end of Capricorn, and then it becomes Aquarius until mid-February, and then it's Pisces. And I think my mom is a Pisces. And I can't remember if only I had a computer in my hand. Let's see. Let me look that up real fast. Pisces element. Pisces is a water element. Yep. Yeah. So it's, yeah. So if you like to stew and you like to slow burn, you might be a water communicator, because fire people love a little bit of vengeance. They love a little bit of drama, but they also like, again, they self-regulate back. So they're mad and they're in it and they go and they do it and then they're done. Whereas if you are a grudge holder like me, Earth people can hold grudges pretty well too, but if it seems like it's practical, if it seems like something that serves them to hold that grudge, water people will hold it just to hold it. Like we just will hold it just because, like, for no reason. Not for no reason, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, so Aquarius is like a water bearer, but it's not a water sign. I don't know what that one is. I'm not going to look that one up, but because I don't know if we have any Aquarians here, and you might already know. But yeah, I'm going to go. I'm getting a little bit tired. I'm going to go take that shower so I can finish removing. I've got to get the glue off of my ears from gluing my earrings down. I'm going to finish a little bit more of that pizza. But thank you, everybody, for stopping by for this late night live. I appreciate you. Don't forget to circle back around and leave a comment on the video once it transcribes over. Replay crew, you rock. We appreciate you. And yeah, I don't know what Aquarius is, because Capricorn is earth and Pisces right after it is water. So Aquarius has to be either fire or air. It might be an air sign, but yeah, so we're going to go. Let's see if I can remember my outro. Yeah, don't forget to circle back and leave that comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Help feed the algorithm. Feed me, Seymour. Feed the algorithm. While you're down there, don't forget to give me that thumbs up to tell me that you liked the video. Or if you think I'm spilling too much trauma, I'm trauma dumping on all of you, go ahead and give me that thumbs down. It's all engagement. The algorithm isn't a picky bitch, and neither am I. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you'll be notified each time I do an upload or go live. I do one of those two things at least once a week now. I've been building in more of the lives, so I don't always have a filmed video once a week, but I've been pretty good about having lots of live content as well. But I try to have one video a week, and sometimes you might even get a bonus video. Ooh. Aquarius-orific. I don't know where that came from. If you'd like to chat, banter, or commiserate between uploads, all of my social media will be linked down in the description box below, including a link to my website. Just pretend it's there. The World of Champagne at janessaj.com. Thank you so much for watching. Do I have any final thoughts down here? Everybody saying good night to everybody. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you for stopping by. Get some good rest. Have a good rest of your weekend. Janet, travel safely. Enjoy PA. We're excited for you. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. And until I see you again, bye. And the awkward ending of the stream. Okay, bye.